Well, good afternoon on this slightly mixed weather afternoon. It's been really hot and sunny. It's quite threatening looking at the moment, but I thought I'd have a very quick walk up over onto the heath. Now, this is somewhere I can walk to from the door at the old shop very easily. And I usually go to the wooded parts at the other end of the heath rather than coming this way over the heath itself, or part of the heath itself, which is more like conventional heathland. But I thought I would come this way today just so have a quick look at what's here. And I haven't been over this way for a while either, so it's interesting for me to see, since we've had some rain, whether things have changed. The first thing I've noticed is about half a dozen dragonflies darting back and forward across the path, which is lovely to see. I do love dragonflies. There's no water very close. There's a stream down in the lane that crosses the end of this one, but not that close, so I don't know. I always thought they liked to be close to water, but I might be wrong there. Actually, I do see them in the garden. There's not much water in the garden apart from my new little wildlife pond. There's a plane going over, typical, just as I started doing this. Anyway, so the vegetation here, as you can see, is a lot of gorse, which in the spring, early summer is just ablaze with gold. Absolutely amazing. And this year it's particularly thick and luxuriant against the blue skies we had a lot of in the early summer. And the bracken, lots of bracken, which some of it's all turning yellow now. When we get to the other end, you'll see that we'll just pop into the woodland at the end, and then you'll be able to see what's happening over there. This is like a hollow. I don't know whether perhaps it was a quarry once. It's just the lane on the other side of it. We're just literally parallel with the road I live on. In the middle there, you can see an elder, bit of fruit there, I think, a bit sparse looking. As I said, I think in an earlier video, I don't think the elderberries are going to be particularly good this year, or not here anyway, maybe elsewhere. And it always seems as if there's not very much time in the year when the heather is actually in flower. It's either in the winter and spring and autumn, it just seems to be brown and almost white and bleached looking, the stems. But suddenly it's actually all in flower. So not a huge heath here, it's a very small one really, but it's lovely to see the little bird flown across. Lovely to see the heather when it is in flower. Anyway, I'll just bend down so you can see it better. There, isn't it lovely? It's so lovely, partly precious because we don't have it for very long. And then beyond that is the gorse and the birches. And the birches are a very big feature here. And you can see quite a lot of new gorse coming up there. I don't know whether that's been encouraged by the rain or whether it was already doing that, but anyway, it's looking quite fresh, because I was quite worried about it at one point. All the gorse just seemed to be dying back. It was all brown looking with all the dry weather we've had. So we'll just keep walking. You can see the white trunks of the birch over there. You do just shine up more when the light's right, of course. And then, as you can see, we've got quite dramatic Norfolk skies going on. Now, I don't know much about this heathland, apart from when I first had the cottage before I'd moved in. I was in the caravan. I came across, or I think someone sent to me a link to an old photograph from the Norfolk archives, which was called something like Gypsies on Ridlington Heath, and it was a Victorian photograph. The people were actually wearing quite conventional Victorian clothes, which is how you could see the age of it, maybe from around the time the cottage was built, because that's early-ish Victorian, I think. And they were sitting outside the caravan, a traditional gypsy caravan, and there were children, there were adults, they were all posed in the group. Whether they were a family group, I imagine that they were, and it was a wonderful photograph. It's obviously an old black and white one, and at that time you could buy it from the Norfolk archives. And I thought, when I move into the actual cottage, when it's all ready for me to live in, I'm going to buy a copy of that and have it up on the wall. Anyway, I am in the cottage now, and I've looked back on the internet and I can't find it anywhere at all. So whether it was a figment of my imagination in the first place, or whether it's no longer available, or whether I was just not looking properly, I don't know, but if I can find a copy, I definitely will, because it was so, I love old photographs anyway, and to think that they were probably here, I don't know whether it was this part of the Heath, but this is certainly at the moment, this is like a plateau really. The land goes down where you can see that edge. It is an edge, and this is a plateau of heathland, and I just imagine them here on this part, parked up, and the children playing, and fires, and all the things that would have gone on. So it's, yeah, I loved seeing that photograph, even if I never do get a copy of it to keep. So what else is there for us to see apart from the gorse and apart from the heather, and lots of evidence of rabbits everywhere? They are keeping this pathway really cropped very, very low. You can see all the stems of the old heather and gorse, but that's like that all the year round. I think it's just a really ongoing process of renewal. See the crows flying up in the I don't know if you can see on the video, but there are crows up there, very typical. They're coming out of Crow Wood, well, the woodland across the road that I call Crow Wood. And they do manage this part of the heath. You can see stumps of gorse here that have clearly been cut to keep things open, more heathy. In the past, heathland would have been always quite well managed just by the people who lived in the village, because it would be common land. They could come and cut their fuel, firewood fuel, from the gorse and birch and pine, which there is across the way, and so therefore, and graze their animals, of course. So it would have been kept much more readily managed just by naturally by the activities of people who lived here. And of course now, well, I like to forage for firewood, although I haven't done here yet, but I do like to forage for firewood. But I don't think many people do that now, even though lots of people have wood burners. It's a lot easier to have a load delivered already cut into quite chunky logs, because you tend to get little bits that take a lot more bits to get you warm if you collect it yourself. Now here's an oak tree. I'll just have a look and see if the acorns are forming, and they are. There, can you see? Actually they're growing, they're green, but they are definitely bigger than they were last time I noticed. And we're just heading really out of this open area now, so once we get to the other end I shall probably call that it for this little video. There's another oak, a bit more prolific with the acorns there, real sign of the change of season. And you can look down there into where it goes right down, which I don't know whether it was quarrying, whether this is a natural plateau. Oh, there's a dragonfly just went in front of the lens. Can you see it? Did you see that? They'll swoop. I see buzzards over here quite often. Oh, another dragonfly. They seem to be following us. And you can see here the bracken going quite yellow. I do love the colour it goes, beautiful. I'm going to be doing some print making using that bracken. And not a very original thing to use, but hopefully I should just be doing it in my own way. You have to just tell yourself that whatever you choose to do, yes, somebody's done it before, but you're going to be doing it in the way that nobody but you can do it, because no one else is you. There's so many dragonflies. I have never seen so many. This has got to be called Dragonfly Heath now. Yeah, so let's just go into the woodlands before we say goodbye. The lovely birch. It's actually got catkins on it now. I didn't realise I had catkins at this time of year, but clearly they do. And a lot of, as you can see down here, the leaves, beautiful goldeny colour leaves, are already coming down, but they are usually the first to go. So that's nothing unusual there, even if it's not just because we've had dry weather. Oh, a lovely smell actually in here, a real damp woodland smell since the rain. And it was running down the lane yesterday, the rain. It was literally like a river past the old shop. I wouldn't really have believed it unless I'd seen it. It would be quite so dramatic, but it really was. The rain really came down torrentially. In fact, I got caught in it a bit earlier. I was up on the cliff, which I think if you've watched the first video, I was up on the cliff at Haysborough. I just literally got up there, took a flask of coffee up there, and I just literally sat down and the first huge drop started, and there was no sign of it here. It had been beautiful and hot and sunny, and in fact that's why I thought I'd pop over there. And I got back over here and it hadn't rained at all, but it did change very shortly. It was tipping down here as well. But that's brilliant, really. It's brilliant to damp everything down. It was so dusty and dry, and the garden has just lapped it up. And that's it, really. I think for this, I don't want to go on for too long. When we get to the end of this bit of woodland, it will be the lane that crosses the one that I live on. So it's only just a little corner, really, of Heathland. But I do feel really lucky that it's so close to home. So we'll stop here, just do a little panorama of the trees. Round we go, and I'll show you the pathway back onto the heath where we've just come, which is here. See, that just takes us back over the heath, and you can go round, but I'll probably go back the way I've come, because it's not often that I'm on that part of the heath, and it's quite nice to see it from the other direction as well. There's a little bit of light you can see just through the trees. It has dulled over a bit. But then again, the sort of weather we're having at the moment, it could equally be really bright sunshine again in a minute. So there we are. I think where should we leave it? Should we leave it with this lovely view of the birches? Yes. Well, I hope you have a lovely rest of the afternoon and evening, and catch up with you soon. Bye.